Today, we're diving into shocking fast food tragedies that turned ordinary meals and shifts into unforgettable heartbreaks. Let's begin with the first story. Incident 1. Burger Run Turns Deadly. It was June 14, 2019, in Columbus, Ohio, USA, when Daniel Price, a 22-year-old college student, stopped by a late-night fast food restaurant after studying with friends. He had been joking and chatting, completely unaware of the danger waiting just a few minutes ahead. As Daniel placed his order and waited near the counter, a loud electrical pop rang out from the back kitchen. Within seconds, thick black smoke began pouring from the fryer area. Customers gasped as the smell of burning oil filled the air. Employees shouted for everyone to get out, but panic erupted as people scrambled toward the narrow front door. Daniel, standing only a few feet from the counter, hesitated when he saw a young employee, older than 17, struggling to free her shirt sleeve, which had caught on the fryer handle. Instead of escaping, Daniel rushed to help her, but as he pulled her free, the fryer tipped, splashing boiling oil across his chest and arms. The girl escaped, but Daniel collapsed, screaming, his skin blistering instantly. Chaos escalated as smoke alarms blared. Bystanders tried to carry Daniel outside while others called 911. Paramedics arrived within minutes, wrapping him in sterile bandages and rushing him to a burn unit. Doctors fought for hours to stabilize him, but the injuries were too severe. Daniel passed away that same night. His death shook the community. Local news outlets covered his final act of bravery, saving the employee who might otherwise have been trapped. In the days that followed, fire marshals revealed the fryer had been improperly maintained, and management faced fines for negligence. Daniel's story became both a tragedy and a reminder of how one act of courage in a place as ordinary as a fast food restaurant can cost a life. Incident 2. Deadly meal ends in minutes. It was October 22, 2021, in Manchester, UK, when Sarah Collins, a 34-year-old office worker, stopped for a quick lunch at her local fast food chain between meetings. She had eaten there dozens of times, never imagining this trip would be her last. After taking a bite of her chicken wrap, Sarah felt her throat tighten. At first, she thought it was just a stubborn piece of food, but within seconds, she gasped for air, her face turning red. Unbeknownst to her, the wrap had been prepared in a kitchen that also processed nuts, something deadly for someone with Sarah's severe allergy. Her colleagues who had come along panicked as Sarah began to collapse at the table. They shouted for help, while one frantically searched for an EpiPen in Sarah's bag. By the time they injected it, she was already unresponsive. Emergency services arrived swiftly and performed CPR while rushing her to the hospital. Doctors worked tirelessly, but the anaphylactic shock had set in too quickly. Within an hour, Sarah was pronounced dead. Her devastated family demanded answers, pointing out that the menu had no visible allergy warnings. Public outrage followed, with health inspectors swarming the chain's local branches. The incident triggered new debates in Parliament about stricter food labeling laws, similar to Natasha's law, which had already been passed after another allergy-related death. Sarah's story spread across the UK, sobering reminder of how a simple lunch can turn fatal when safety measures are overlooked. Incident 3. Drive-through turns into tragedy. It was March 3, 2020 in Dallas, Texas, USA, when Robert Bobby Jenkins, a 46-year-old truck driver, pulled into a fast food drive-through after a long day on the road. Tired but cheerful, he chatted with his wife on the phone as he waited for his order. As Bobby reached out to grab his bag of food, his truck suddenly rolled forward. Distracted, he tried to hit the brake but accidentally pressed the accelerator instead. The vehicle lurched, slamming him against the drive-through wall, pinning his head between the frame of the truck and the concrete divider. Horrified employees dropped everything and ran outside, screaming for help. Some tried to push the truck back, but it was too heavy. By the time paramedics arrived and freed him with hydraulic equipment, Bobby had suffered massive trauma. He was pronounced dead at the scene. News of the freak accident spread quickly, shocking locals who frequented the restaurant daily. Police later determined the truck had been left in neutral without the parking brake engaged, leading to the deadly roll. Bobby's wife, who had been on the phone during the entire ordeal, was left traumatized. His story circulated across national news outlets as a chilling reminder of how quickly small lapses like forgetting a parking brake can lead to fatal outcomes, even in the most mundane places. Incident 4. Kitchen mishap claims young worker. It was August 17, 2022 in Toronto, Canada, when Maria Alvarez, 19-year-old fast food employee, started her evening shift at a busy burger joint. She had been working there part-time while studying nursing, often saving money to help her family. The night was hectic, with customers lining up and orders piling high. As Maria rushed between the grill and the prep table, a manager asked her to quickly clean the soda machine drain with a chemical solution. With no protective gloves or clear instructions, She began pouring the liquid. Moments later, a noxious cloud of fumes filled the air. Customers coughed and covered their faces as employees screamed for everyone to evacuate. Maria, closest to the source, inhaled a deep breath of the toxic chlorine gas. She staggered, clutching her throat before collapsing onto the wet floor. Coworkers dragged her outside as they waited for firefighters and medics. Paramedics tried desperately to resuscitate her, but the chemical burns to her lungs were too severe. She died later that night in the hospital. Investigators later revealed that improper storage of cleaning chemicals had led to a deadly reaction when bleach mixed with acid. The restaurant was fined heavily. Maria's death sparked widespread criticism of fast food chains that prioritize speed over worker safety. For her grieving parents, the tragedy was unbearable. She had dreamed of saving lives as a nurse only to lose her own in a preventable workplace accident. Incident 5. Falling sign kills customer instantly. It was December 11, 2020. In Birmingham, Alabama, USA, when Jessica Moore, a 28-year-old teacher, stopped at a popular fast food chain with her younger brother after finishing a long day at work. They were in high spirits, joking about weekend plans as they pulled into the parking lot. Neither could have imagined the sudden tragedy about to unfold. As Jessica's brother maneuvered their small sedan into a spot near the drive-thru, a loud metallic groan echoed above them. Several customers in the lot looked up just in time to see the restaurant, as towering roadside sign meant to advertise daily specials, beginning to sway unnaturally in the wind. Within seconds, bolts that had been rusting for years finally gave way. The massive steel frame sign crashed downward with terrifying force. Jessica, stepping out of the passenger side, barely had a chance to react before the structure came down directly onto the vehicle. The impact crushed the roof, trapping Jessica beneath the twisted metal. Her brother screamed in shock, desperately clawing at the wreckage as bystanders rushed to help. Chaos erupted in the lot. Some customers called 911, while others tried to lift the sign, but it was far too heavy. Jessica was pinned motionless, her injuries catastrophic. Paramedics arrived within minutes. But by the time firefighters cut through the debris and freed her, she had already succumbed to her injuries. Investigators later revealed that the sign's supports had been corroded and poorly maintained. Despite multiple warnings and past city safety inspections, the restaurant's parent company faced lawsuits from Jessica's family. City officials vowed stricter enforcement of signage maintenance codes. News of the freak accident spread across the country. Social media was filled with grief and anger. How could something as ordinary as parking for a quick meal turn fatal? Jessica's story struck a chord because it highlighted not only the fragility of life, but also the devastating consequences of negligence. Her family described her as vibrant, kind-hearted, and devoted to her students. The community held a candlelight vigil outside the very restaurant where the tragedy occurred, with dozens of people leaving flowers beneath the rebuilt sign. Jessica's death became a chilling reminder that even the most mundane moments, grabbing fast food after work, can be shattered by preventable dangers hidden in plain sight.